My wife expected me to raise her daughter even though I wasn't the biological father, but she had no idea I already knew the bitter truth. My name is Tyler, and I'm 30 years old. I work as a commercial plumber, and I've been busting my ass in this trade since I was 18. Building something stable has always been important to me, especially after losing my dad when I was just 16. That loss taught me to take responsibility seriously, and I've worked hard to create a solid foundation for myself. I've got my own place now. My truck is completely paid off, and honestly, I'm doing pretty well for myself. My fiancée Jessica is 24 and works at a high-end nail salon where she does gel manicures for soccer moms who drive Escalades. She makes decent tips, but her income is inconsistent as hell. Some weeks are great, others not so much. We've been together for almost 3 years now, and about 7 months ago, she got pregnant. I proposed to her the very day she told me about the pregnancy. That's what you do when you're about to be a dad, right? At least, that's what I thought at the time. Looking back, she seemed weird about the proposal. Not excited like I expected, but more like she was doing me a favor by saying yes. I figured she was just scared about the whole pregnancy situation and all the changes coming our way. I should have trusted my gut right there, but I convinced myself it was normal pre-baby jitters. Since she got pregnant, I've been covering everything financially. All the prenatal appointments, every piece of baby gear we've bought, her half of the rent since her income dropped significantly. I even added her to my health insurance the minute we got engaged, which wasn't cheap. We're talking about serious cash here, and that's not even counting what I dropped on her engagement ring. One afternoon, I got off work early because the job site had to shut down due to heavy rain. I decided to surprise her with dinner from that expensive Thai place she loves. She's always craving their pad Thai these days. I used my key to let myself into her apartment and heard voices coming from the kitchen. I was about to announce myself when I heard her talking with her sister Nicole. What I heard next made me freeze in place, and I still can't believe the words that came out of their mouths. I was about to announce myself when I heard her talking with her sister Nicole. What I heard next made me freeze in place, and I still can't believe the words that came out of their mouths. I still can't believe you're actually going through with marrying him, Nicole was saying to Jessica. Her tone was casual, like they were discussing weekend plans instead of my entire future. Tyler's got great insurance and steady money, but girl, you're really settling, Nicole continued. Jessica's response hit me like a punch to the gut. Look, Brandon can't provide what this baby needs, she said, cutting her sister off quickly. Tyler can. Brandon's barely keeping his head above water with his current kid. Brandon, the personal trainer from the gym where she works out. She always claimed he was just helping with prenatal exercises, but something about the way she talked about him had always rubbed me wrong. Now I knew exactly why. I mean, I guess Tyler's okay, Nicole said with obvious disdain in her voice. But you deserve better than some plumber who thinks Applebee's is fine dining. At least you'll have financial security. Jessica actually laughed at this comment. The sound of her laughter while discussing my life like I was some kind of business transaction made my blood run cold. I care about him enough, she said dismissively. And honestly, he's so desperate to play hero that he'll never question anything. He just nods and pays for whatever I want. I stood there in that hallway for maybe 15 minutes, listening to them plan out my entire future like I was some ATM with legs. They discussed how she'd keep seeing Brandon after we got married, how Brandon doesn't even know the baby is his because she told him her birth control failed, and how they were being careful about the whole situation. The worst part was hearing Jessica explain how she'd already coached Nicole on what to say if I ever got suspicious about anything. Even after hearing all of this with my own ears, part of me was still wondering if I had somehow misunderstood something. That's how deep this mind manipulation goes when someone you trust completely betrays you. I left without saying anything and just drove around for hours, trying to process what I'd learned. When I finally came home, Jessica was acting completely normal. She showed me some $180 baby monitor she wanted to order and started talking about honeymoon plans, asking if I was excited about becoming a daddy. I kept looking at the engagement ring that had cost me 2 months of overtime pay and wanted to smash something. She's in the bedroom doing her skincare routine right now, probably texting Brandon about their next workout session, completely oblivious that her whole scam is about to blow up in her face. Before I made any move, I knew I had to get legal help. I actually started recording conversations on my phone once I realized what was happening, since our state has one-party consent laws. My Uncle Rick is a lawyer, so I wanted to consult with him before doing anything rash. I decided to go full detective mode because I had to get all my documentation in order. The first thing I did was tell Jessica I needed to stay at my buddy Jake's place for a few days, claiming I was stressed about wedding costs and needed some space to think things through. She was actually relieved by this news, which should have been another massive red flag. She said it would give her time to focus on baby preparations without having to worry about me being stressed out. Looking back, that should have been a red flag the size of a billboard. I spent the next 3 weeks going full CSI mode on this situation. I made copies of every single receipt, bank statement, and text message that showed what I'd spent on her and the baby. We're talking about serious cash here. Prenatal vitamins, doctor visits, that $750 crib she absolutely had to have from the fancy baby store, covering her car payment twice when she came up short, groceries, and that pregnancy massage package she desperately needed for her back pain. The smoking gun came when she left her phone unlocked while she was in the shower. Rookie mistake on her part. I found months of text messages between her and Brandon, and this wasn't just some casual affair. They were planning their entire future together, discussing how to manage the transition after my wedding, and how they'd eventually find a way to be together without disrupting the financial stability I was providing. She literally called me the bank in one of the messages. Here's the part that really screwed with my head. She's been lying to Brandon too. She told him she was on the pill and the pregnancy was a total accident. This dude has no idea she got knocked up on purpose. This woman is playing 4D chess while we're all playing tic-tac-toe. I called my Uncle Rick and explained the situation. He hooked me up with a colleague who specializes in paternity fraud. Yeah, that's apparently a real thing that happens often enough to need specialists. Who knew? Rick told me to get a prenatal paternity test before doing anything else. It's more expensive than waiting until after birth, but it would give me ironclad proof of what I already suspected. I set it up through my doctor, telling them I wanted to screen for genetic issues since my dad died young of heart problems. The results came back 2 days ago. 0% chance I'm the father. Seeing it in black and white hit differently than just knowing it in my gut. Rick explained that what she's doing is criminal fraud in our state, not just a civil matter. She could face actual jail time for this kind of deception. The weird thing is how calm I felt about all of this. Like, shouldn't I be more pissed off? But mostly, I just felt this cold clarity I'd never experienced before. Maybe because I finally understood exactly what had been happening to me all along. I decided to tell her we were having dinner at Castellano's, the same place where we had our first date. She thought I was planning some kind of romantic surprise, and even got her nails done for the occasion. It was time to watch her world completely explode. My buddy Jake was going to be my backup, parked outside in case she went completely psycho when I confronted her. Uncle Rick was on standby too, just in case things got legally complicated. I also knew that Brandon's wife Victoria deserved to know what her husband had been doing behind her back. I was planning to reach out to her after I handled the Jessica situation. When dinner night arrived, Jessica showed up looking like she was going to a photo shoot. She had on a new dress, fresh highlights in her hair, and full makeup. She was practically bouncing in her seat, thinking I was about to surprise her with some expensive wedding upgrade or honeymoon plan. This made what happened next feel even more brutal. I didn't waste any time with small talk or pleasantries. "Jess, I need to ask you something straight up," I said, looking directly into her eyes. "Is there anything about this pregnancy you haven't told me?" The change in her demeanor was instant and dramatic. For just a split second, pure panic flashed across her eyes before she managed to slip back into innocent girl mode. "What do you mean, babe? You're kind of freaking me out with that question." "I know about Brandon," I said simply. All the color drained from her face like someone had pulled a plug. She started stammering, trying to figure out exactly how much I knew and what her best play would be. What about Brandon? He's just my trainer. You know that." "I have the paternity test results, Jessica," I told her calmly. "I know the baby isn't mine." She just stared at me for maybe 30 seconds, not saying a single word. I could practically see the wheels turning in her head as she tried to figure out her next move. Then the waterworks started, but they were the fakest tears I'd ever seen in my life. You could practically see the gears spinning behind her eyes as she calculated her response. "Tyler, please let me explain," she said through her crocodile tears. "It's not what you think." "Go ahead, explain," I replied, leaning back in my chair and crossing my arms. She spun this whole elaborate sob story about how it was just one mistake. One time when we were fighting about money. She claimed she was emotional and confused, and Brandon was there for her during a vulnerable moment. The usual cheater's playbook. Blah, blah, blah. "I've seen the messages," I interrupted her performance. "I heard you talking to Nicole." That's when the mask completely came off. The fake crying stopped instantly, like someone had flipped a switch. She got this cold, calculating look that I'd never seen before, and it was honestly terrifying to realize this was who she really was underneath all the act. "You went through my phone," she said accusingly. "You freaking recorded me without permission. You've been planning to commit fraud and you're worried about privacy?" I shot back. Then she said the line that's going to haunt me forever. The words that showed me exactly what kind of person I'd been engaged to. "Even if the baby isn't biologically yours, you're still going to be his father," she said, with this entitled tone. "Like it or not, we're getting married in 2 months. I'm not letting you ruin our family over some stupid technicality." A technicality? She called paternity fraud a technicality. "There's not going to be a wedding, Jessica," I said firmly. That's when she completely lost her shit. She started screaming in the middle of the restaurant about how I was abandoning my responsibility, how I was destroying her life, and how she'd make sure everyone knew what kind of selfish prick I really was. Other customers were staring at us, and the manager came over to see what the commotion was about. It was a whole freaking scene. "You think you're so smart?" she hissed at me across the table. "Good luck finding someone else who will put up with your boring ass. You're nothing special, Tyler, just a blue-collar worker with a truck payment." The contempt in her voice was absolutely unreal. This woman I'd been planning to spend my life with had just shown me exactly what she thought of me all along. I dropped 35s on the table to cover our drinks and walked out while she was still screaming. I drove straight to the wedding venue and canceled everything. Lost the $2,300 deposit, but it felt like the best money I'd ever spent in my life. She's been blowing up my phone ever since. First begging and pleading, then threatening, then trying to manipulate me with complaints about pregnancy symptoms and how stressed I'm making her. This morning, she showed up at my apartment sobbing, saying she'd leave Brandon and we could work everything out if I'd just give her another chance. When I wouldn't let her in, she threatened to take me to court for child support anyway. Uncle Rick says that's not how any of this works, especially with all the evidence I have. But this woman seems capable of absolutely anything at this point. I also sent Brandon's wife, Victoria, some screenshots through Facebook. She deserves to know what her husband's been up to behind her back. I haven't heard back from her yet, but I'm sure that's going to create its own drama explosion when she processes everything. 3 weeks ago, I thought I was about to become a husband and father. Now, I'm realizing that the last 3 years of my life were basically an elaborate scam designed to use me as a financial safety net. But for the first time in months, I can actually sleep through the night without feeling constantly on edge. Jake says I look like a completely different person, more relaxed, not constantly stressed out like I had been. I guess I didn't realize how much stress I was carrying around until it was suddenly gone. It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Edit. Victoria messaged me back. She wants to meet up in person to discuss everything. Apparently, Brandon has done this kind of thing before, and she's been gathering evidence for months. This situation is about to get really interesting. Update. The meeting with Victoria was like something straight out of a spy movie. No joke. This woman showed up with a folder thicker than my plumbing code book, organized with tabs and everything. It turns out she's been suspicious of Brandon for over a year and hired a private investigator 6 months ago. She had photos of him and Jessica together, credit card statements from hotels, and even GPS tracking data from his phone showing where he'd been. But here's the kicker. Jessica isn't his first side piece. This dude's been cheating on his wife for 3 years straight with multiple women. I needed something big enough that he couldn't talk his way out of it in divorce court, Victoria told me matter-of-factly. A secret baby was exactly what I was waiting for. She's filing for divorce next week, and with all her evidence, she's going to destroy him financially. She's going for full custody of their daughter, the house, his retirement account, and even part of his future earnings from the gym. Meanwhile, Jessica has gone completely nuclear since our dinner confrontation. When her crying and manipulation tactics didn't work on me, she decided to wage war on my reputation instead. She's been posting on Facebook about what a deadbeat I am, how I abandoned my pregnant fiancée, and how I'm just another selfish man who can't handle responsibility. The best part? She actually set up a GoFundMe titled, "Single Mom Needs Help After Baby Daddy Abandons Family." She used a photo from our vacation last summer, where we look all happy and loving, and had the balls to ask for $400 or $500 to get back on her feet. My family knows the truth about everything, but some mutual friends have been giving me weird looks lately. It's amazing how quickly people assume I'm the villain just because she's pregnant and playing the victim card. But Jessica made her biggest mistake when she tried to threaten me legally. She had some ambulance chaser lawyer send me a demand letter claiming I owed child support regardless of paternity because I had assumed the father role and financially supported the pregnancy. Uncle Rick literally started laughing when he read it. That's when we went on the attack. See, paternity fraud is a felony in our state with real jail time attached to it. It's not just a civil matter. Uncle Rick's colleague sent Jessica's lawyer a response that basically said, "Your client attempted to commit fraud by deceiving our client about paternity with intent to obtain financial support under false pretenses. Cease all contact or we'll file criminal charges." She backed off the child support threats real quick after that legal smackdown. But we also served Brandon with legal papers establishing him as the biological father and demanding child support. His lawyer tried to demand proof, so we sent over the paternity test results along with some of the text messages between him and Jessica. 2 days after Brandon got served with those papers, guess who showed up at my apartment? Not crying this time. Jessica was freaking furious. She looked like she'd been awake for 72 hours straight, with her hair a mess and makeup smudged. "We need to talk right now," she demanded, trying to push past me into my apartment. I blocked the doorway. "You can't do this to Brandon. He has a family to think about," she said desperately. "Had a family," I corrected her, "and that's not my problem." "You don't understand. He can't afford child support right now. Victoria's taking everything in the divorce. You're destroying his life over nothing." The audacity was absolutely breathtaking. She was actually asking me to consider Brandon's financial situation, like somehow his affair baby was my responsibility to fund. "Should have thought about that before you two decided to play house," I told her firmly. She tried switching tactics, suddenly playing the victim again. "Tyler, I know I made mistakes, but we can still fix this. Think about all the good times we had. Don't you want to be a father?" "Not to another man's kid," I replied. That's when her mask slipped completely and the real Jessica came out. "Do you have any idea how hard it is to depend on someone else for everything?" she screamed. "I needed security, Tyler. I needed to know my baby would be taken care of." "So you committed fraud," I said calmly. "I did what I had to do," she screamed even louder. Then came the part that really showed me who she'd been all along. "You think it's easy being with someone like you? Someone who thinks Olive Garden is fine dining and buys tools instead of taking me on real vacations?" There it was. The truth about what she really thought of me. All those times she made comments about wanting nicer things or seeming embarrassed when we hung out with her salon friends. I was never good enough for her, just good enough to pay her bills. "Get the hell off my property," I said, stepping back to close the door. "Fine," she snarled with pure venom in her voice. "But don't come crawling back when you realize what you've lost. Good men don't abandon pregnant women, Tyler. Everyone's going to see what kind of selfish prick you really are." "Let them," I replied. "The people who matter know the truth." I slammed the door and locked it, and for the first time in months, I felt completely at peace. But the fun wasn't over yet. Brandon called me the next day, crying like a little bitch. "Tyler, man, please don't ruin my life," he whined into the phone. "I didn't know she was trying to trap you. I thought you guys were solid. Like that made it okay to screw my fiancé behind my back. We can work something out," he continued desperately. "I'll pay you back for the medical stuff, whatever you spent. Just don't make me pay ongoing support. I'm about to lose everything in the divorce." I hung up on his pathetic ass without saying another word. Nicole, Jessica's sister, decided to join the harassment campaign next. She started texting me at all hours of the day and night, calling me a selfish piece of shit and a coward who abandons pregnant women. "You're destroying my sister's life because you're too insecure to handle the truth," one text read. "She's better off without a loser like you anyway. Hope you're happy ruining an innocent baby's future." Then she started calling and leaving voicemails about how I'm just a loser, nobody who should be grateful someone like Jessica even looked at me twice. The entitled attitude clearly runs in the family. "She could have had anyone," Nicole screeched in one particularly unhinged voicemail. "But she settled for your boring ass, and this is how you repay her? You're pathetic!" I blocked her number after the 5th call. I don't need that toxic bullshit in my life. Edit. The legal stuff is moving fast. Uncle Rick filed paperwork to officially remove any parental rights or obligations I might have had. We're also suing for reimbursement of all baby-related expenses. Edit 2. Victoria and I are coordinating our cases. Her lawyer is helping with mine too, since we're both going after Brandon. Edit 3. Jake has been helping me move all of Jessica's stuff out of my place. We found some interesting things in her junk drawer that I'm saving for later. Update. Hey, I'm back again. These people just keep digging themselves deeper holes, and it's honestly entertaining at this point. It's like watching the Three Stooges, but with more fraud and baby drama. Brandon's been calling me every few days now, each time more desperate than the last. Yesterday, he tried a new approach, offering to split child support with me. Like we're going to co-parent his mistake together. Come on, man. You were going to raise the kid anyway, he said. What's the difference? The difference, you cheating piece of shit, is that one scenario involves me being a father, and the other involves me being a mark in a con game. I blocked his number, but Jessica decided to take things public in the worst way possible. This crazy bitch showed up at my job site Tuesday morning. We're working on a commercial project downtown with about 30 guys on the crew. She rolled up 8 months pregnant, tears streaming down her face, screaming about how I abandoned my family. That's him, she was pointing at me while I'm up on scaffolding running pipe. That's the father of my baby. He just left us with nothing. My foreman Dave came over like, Tyler, what the hell is this about? The whole crew stopped working to watch this dramatic show unfold. She's sobbing about how I promised to marry her, how I'm leaving her homeless, and how she doesn't know how she'll feed the baby when it's born. I climbed down from the scaffolding and walked over to her, staying completely calm. Jessica, you need to leave now, I said firmly. I'm not going anywhere until you do the right thing, she screamed back. Everyone deserves to know what kind of man you really are. So I pulled out my phone and played one of the recordings I had made. Her voice came through clear as day, talking to Nicole about how I'm just the bank, and Brandon is the real father. The whole job site went dead quiet as they listened. Anyone else want to hear more? I asked, looking around at all the guys staring at us. Nobody said a word. Jessica's face went white, then red. Then she started screaming about illegal recordings and violations of privacy. Dave told her to get off the site immediately, or he'd call the cops. She left, but not before shouting that I'd regret humiliating her like this. My crew was looking at me like I'd grown a second head. Then Jake, who works on the same job, started slow clapping. Pretty soon, half the guys were cheering and applauding. Well, that was more dramatic than a soap opera, Jake announced to the whole crew. Tyler just got unplugged from the Matrix, boys. That woman had more twists than our plumbing pipes. Dave pulled me aside after everything calmed down and said, Jesus Christ, Tyler. Good thing you found out before the wedding. No kidding, Jake chimed in. Tyler almost got shocked by the wrong kind of current. Thank God for that recording. Talk about having the right tools for the job. The guys were cracking up at Jake's terrible plumbing puns. He kept going. She wanted Tyler to be the father. More like she wanted him to be the father sucker. Get it? Like mother foo. We get it, Jake, Dave said, shaking his head but laughing anyway. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember how I mentioned finding stuff in Jessica's drawer when we cleaned out her things? Well, among her old receipts and random junk, I found something very interesting. Brandon's wife's business card. It turns out Victoria runs her own accounting firm. I called her up and we had a very productive conversation. Seems Brandon's been hiding money from her in preparation for the divorce, moving cash around, claiming lower income, the whole 9 yards. Victoria's been trying to track it all down, but she needed someone with access to Brandon's personal life. Guess who has months of text messages between Brandon and Jessica talking about money, future plans, and Brandon's actual financial situation? Victoria and I met up yesterday, and I showed her everything I had collected. Brandon's been telling Jessica he makes way more than he's claiming in divorce court. He's also been planning to quit his gym job and move to another state with Jessica after her baby is born. Something that would conveniently make child support enforcement much harder for both Victoria and me. This is absolute gold, Victoria said, photographing everything on my phone. He's been claiming he only makes $32,000 a year, but these messages show him talking about a $58,000 salary plus side income from private training sessions. We're putting together a package that's going to absolutely destroy Brandon in court. Hidden income, plans to flee the state, admissions of the affair, evidence of him fathering a child while married. Victoria's lawyer says it's going to be beautiful to watch. But I'm not done yet. See, Jessica's been spreading lies about me all over social media, trying to destroy my reputation. She posted on those local Facebook mom groups about how I'm a deadbeat, shared my photo, and even posted the address of my plumbing company, asking people to let them know what kind of man they're employing. That was her biggest mistake because now it's not just personal. She's trying to mess with my livelihood. Uncle Rick's been helping me put together a defamation case. We have screenshots of every post, every comment, every lie she spread online. We're going after her for damages to my reputation and lost business income. But the best part is still coming. See, Brandon works at Elite Fitness, a gym chain that has a very strict morality clause in their employee contracts. Affairs with clients, dishonesty, criminal behavior, all grounds for immediate termination and being blacklisted from other gyms in the area. Jake has a buddy who's a member at Elite Fitness. Guess who's going to receive an anonymous package with some very interesting information about one of their trainers? The baby's due in 3 weeks. Brandon still doesn't know that Jessica got pregnant on purpose. Victoria's divorce is being finalized next month, and I'm just sitting here with my popcorn, watching it all burn down around them. Edit. Jake came over yesterday to help box up Jessica's remaining crap, and this dude had me rolling. He walks in wearing rubber gloves and says, "Time for some hazmat removal, boys. We're cleaning out the toxic waste." First thing he finds is her collection of expensive face masks. "Look at this, Tyler. 75s for a mud mask," he says, holding up the container. "I can get you the same thing from a construction site for free." He starts putting them in a box labeled overpriced dirt. Then he finds her stack of romance novels. "Oh, look. How to Catch a Millionaire and The Gold Digger's Guide to Love," he announces dramatically. "I'm starting to see a pattern here, Tyler. This is like a how-to manual for what she did to you." But the best part was when he found her Victoria's Secret receipts. "Dude, she spent $280 on lingerie last month," he said, waving the receipt around. "I'm guessing it wasn't for you, unless you suddenly developed a thing for leopard print. More red flags than a communist parade." We found her diary, and I didn't read it, but Jake couldn't resist. "Listen to this gem," he said, flipping through the pages. "Brandon makes me feel alive, but Tyler makes me feel secure." Jesus Christ, Tyler. You were dating a walking contradiction. That's like saying, "I love pizza, but I'll marry broccoli because it's healthy." By the end, Jake had created a whole comedy routine out of packing her stuff. "This relationship had more issues than a magazine subscription, brother," he said, taping up the last box. "Good thing you canceled before the next issue arrived." Update. Holy shit. It's like watching a controlled demolition. Everything's falling down exactly the way I planned, and it's more satisfying than that scene in Fight Club where the buildings collapse. First, the gym situation. Jake's buddy delivered that anonymous package to Elite Fitness Management on Monday. By Wednesday, Brandon was fired. Apparently, having an affair with a client while married, getting her pregnant, and lying about his income violates about 17 different policies. The gym manager actually called me to verify some of the information and thanked me for bringing it to their attention. Brandon's now working at some 24-hour chain gym, making minimum wage plus commission. Good luck hiding income now, asshole. The divorce proceedings have been absolutely brutal for Brandon. Victoria's lawyer presented all the evidence I provided. The text messages about his real income, plans to flee the state, admissions about the affair. The judge was not impressed at all. "Your Honor, my client has been systematically deceived and defrauded by her husband," Victoria's lawyer said in court. "He's been hiding assets, lying about income, and planning to abandon his responsibilities to both his wife and his illegitimate child." Brandon's getting completely destroyed. Victoria's getting the house, full custody of their daughter, 60% of his retirement account, and spousal support. Plus, Brandon's now on the hook for child support for 2 kids instead of 1. But wait, it gets even better. Jessica had the baby last week, a healthy boy. But here's where it gets absolutely hilarious. Brandon showed up to the hospital expecting some happy family moment, and Jessica told him to get the fuck out. "I can't be with someone who can't provide for us," she told him right there in the maternity ward. "I need stability for my son." This woman orchestrated an entire fraud scheme to get Brandon's baby a stable father figure, then rejected him when he became financially responsible for said baby. You literally cannot make this shit up. Brandon's been calling me again. I got a new number, but Uncle Rick's been keeping track of everything for the harassment case. Now he's begging me to take a DNA test to prove the baby isn't mine. Like that changes anything at this point. "Maybe we got it wrong, man. Maybe you are the father after all," he said in one voicemail. Desperation makes people incredibly stupid. The defamation lawsuit is moving forward nicely. Uncle Rick's documented 47 separate instances where Jessica posted false information about me on social media. My boss at the plumbing company is backing me up completely. He says 3 potential clients specifically mentioned seeing something online about me and decided to go with other contractors instead. That's documented lost income, and in this economy, that adds up fast. But the absolute best part? Remember how Jessica set up that GoFundMe asking for money as a single mom abandoned by her baby daddy? Well, someone, definitely not me, wink wink, posted screenshots of our text conversations in the comments section, along with photos of the paternity test results. The GoFundMe got taken down within 24 hours for fraud. Jessica had to return the $100 she'd already collected from sympathetic donors. She's now being investigated by the platform for misrepresentation. Nicole's been posting on social media about how I'm a deadbeat and how family comes first. These people are all cut from the same cloth, entitled, manipulative, and completely delusional about taking responsibility for their own actions. Jessica's lost her job at the nail salon too. Apparently, showing up screaming at my worksite didn't look good for business when word got around. She's lost Brandon, lost her job, and is now facing a defamation lawsuit that's going to cost her more money than she'll make in the next 5 years. Meanwhile, I'm absolutely thriving. I got a promotion at work last month. Turns out not being constantly stressed about a manipulative woman makes you way more productive on the job. I bought myself a new truck with the money I'm not spending on someone else's problems. I started dating again too. Met a woman named Amanda through Jake's girlfriend. She's a nurse, has her own place, her own car, her own life. She doesn't expect me to fund her existence or solve all her problems. It's refreshing as hell to be with someone who actually contributes to the relationship instead of just taking from it. The legal stuff should be wrapped up in a few weeks. I'm getting back every penny I spent on Jessica and the baby. Victoria's getting her divorce settlement, and Jessica's dealing with the consequences of her own choices. Edit. For those asking about the new girl, we're taking it slow. Both of us believe in actually getting to know someone before making major life decisions. Edit 2. Brandon tried to friend me on Facebook yesterday. The nerve of this man is absolutely unbelievable. Edit 3. Jessica's apparently living with her mom now. Her mom called to apologize and said Jessica's always been a difficult child. No shit, lady. All right. This is my final update on this whole shit show. It's been 8 months since I discovered the truth, and I wanted to wrap this up with a nice bow because you guys have been with me through every step of this journey. The legal victories were total slam dunks. I got back every penny I spent on Jessica and baby expenses, $7,847 plus legal fees. Brandon's paying child support and will be for the next 18 years. The defamation case against Jessica was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. Let's just say it was enough to put a down payment on a very nice house. Brandon's life completely imploded, and it's beautiful to watch. Victoria cleaned him out in the divorce. She got the house, full custody, his retirement account, spousal support, the works. He's living in a studio apartment above a pizza place and working 2 jobs to cover his child support obligations for both kids. The funny part is, he keeps trying to reconnect with Jessica, convinced they can still have their fairy tale ending. She won't even let him see the baby unsupervised because he's not financially stable enough to be trusted with important decisions. This woman literally planned her entire scam around securing Brandon's baby a stable father, then rejected him when he became responsible for providing that stability. It's like watching someone play chess by eating the pieces. Jessica's life is exactly what she was trying to avoid by scamming me. She's a single mother working at a gas station, living with her parents, struggling to make ends meet. Her Instagram went from posting photos of expensive dinners and designer bags to complaining about formula costs and sleepless nights. She tried reaching out to me about 2 months ago, not for reconciliation, but to ask if I'd be willing to help out occasionally with baby expenses since I had already invested so much. The freaking delusion was unreal. I blocked her number immediately. My life? Complete 180. That promotion at work came with a $14,000 raise. I bought a house in a nice neighborhood, 3 bedrooms, 2-car garage, decent yard for grilling and hanging out. Jake helped me move in and said it's the happiest he's ever seen me. He showed up to help me move with a cooler full of beer and a t-shirt that said, "Moving sucks, but at least you're not a single mom." "Welcome to your new bachelor pad, Tyler," he announced, cracking open a beer. "No more walking on eggshells. No more funding someone else's lifestyle. And best of all, no more listening to complaints about your tool collection." He walks through the empty house making commentary on everything. "This is the kitchen where you'll cook whatever the hell you want without someone bitching about carbs. This is the living room where you can watch sports without hearing about how football is stupid and violent. And this," he opens the garage door, "is where your tools will live in peace without being called clutter." Then he finds the master bedroom. And this, my friend, is where you'll sleep soundly knowing nobody's planning to baby trap you while you're unconscious. Sweet dreams are made of this, Tyler. You're an idiot, Jake, I told him, laughing despite myself. Yeah, but I'm a loyal idiot who doesn't screw other people's fiancés, he replied. That's apparently a rare quality these days. As we're setting up my new TV, Jake raises his beer in a toast. Here's to Tyler's new house. May it be filled with honesty, loyalty, and 0% chance of affair babies. You're an idiot, Jake. Yeah, but I'm a loyal idiot who doesn't screw other people's fiancés. That's apparently a rare quality these days. Amanda and I have been together for 6 months now, and it's the healthiest relationship I've ever had. No games, no manipulation, no constant drama. She actually contributes to conversations instead of just agreeing with whatever I say to keep me happy. She pays for her own stuff and doesn't expect me to fund her lifestyle. Revolutionary concept, right? We're talking about moving in together next year. She knows the whole story about Jessica and says it helps her understand why I'm sometimes cautious about certain things. Having a partner who actually gives a damn about your emotional well-being is a complete game changer. The best revenge is living well, and I'm absolutely crushing it. Good job, nice house, healthy relationship, money in the bank, and 0 tolerance for manipulative people. I'm a completely different person than I was a year ago. That whole experience taught me exactly what I will and won't accept in my life going forward. To any guys going through something similar, trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you that you're being paranoid or unreasonable. Document everything, get legal help, and don't be afraid to walk away from people who don't respect you. And to the women reading this, not all men are ATMs with legs. Some of us actually want genuine partnerships, not financial arrangements disguised as relationships. This is my last update on this whole situation. It's time to focus on building something real with someone who actually gives a shit about me as a person, not just what I can provide. Thanks for coming along on this journey. You guys are the real MVPs. Edit. Brandon apparently tried to get his old job back at Elite Fitness. They told him he's blacklisted from the entire chain. Whoops. Edit 2. Amanda says hi and thanks for all the support. She's been lurking these posts and says this community helped her understand what I went through. She also thinks Brandon's an idiot, and Jessica got exactly what she deserved. Edit 3. To the guy who DM'd me asking for advice about his own situation. I posted some resources in our men's rights community about paternity fraud and legal protection. Don't let anyone scam you, brother. Peace out.